it was impulse buying, okay? And I just made a bad choice. I think that's what it comes down to. Hello my friends, welcome to my review of 3 of the brand new holiday highlighter sets that are now available at Sephora. Now there are a lot of other holiday highlighters that are available, including the Hourglass one and the Bobbi Brown one that look absolutely gorgeous. I went to the Sephora VIB Rouge event and I picked these 3 to purchase. But we're gonna nitpick these apart and let you know a lot about them, my personal opinions on them. We're gonna see some swatches, and we're also gonna do an ingredient analysis so you know if you have a special skin type, whether these may be especially good or especially bad for you. So first, let me just show you the ones that we're going to be talking about today. We have the Stila. This is called the Starlight Star Bright Highlighting Palette. You do get 3 shades in here. We have the Naked Illuminated Trio. You get 3 shades in this and a dual-sided brush. They both come with a mirror. Both of them have a mirror, and this one comes with 3 shades again, and this is $36. And then finally, the Laura Mercier. This is called Fall in Love Face Illuminator Collection. Again, comes with a mirror, but this one comes with 4 shades. So let's go ahead and show you the swatches now so you can kind of see how they apply to the skin. Keep in mind that arm skin is different than face skin, but because I only have 2 cheeks, it's kind of difficult to show you on the face all of these different shades. So just so you know, on my face today I do have the Stila one, this center shade, which is called Kitten. That is the highlight that I have on today. The blush I'm wearing today is Model Co's Amaretto Sunset. I really love their blushes. They're a very underrated brand for blushes. They're very, very nice. And then I have my Anastasia Beverly Hills Contour Kit for contour, but no other highlight. This is a matte blush. So let's go ahead and get into the swatches so you can see how it applies to my skin. have seen the swatches and how they apply. So, you know, when we talk about summary as far as application goes, they really all apply very, very differently. And depending on what you personally like, you may like one versus another. The Stila, of course, goes on very creamy. It's a dimethicone base, which we're gonna get into in a second. So it goes on really creamy. What I personally do is I swipe it on with my fingers and then I stipple it out with the stippling brush. You get more pigmentation if you use your fingertip first, less if you only use the stippling brush. For this one here, this one is a lot more powdery, of course, lots and lots of glitter in this one. The way that I choose to apply this one is I swipe it on my cheeks with my fingers and then I blend it out with this brush. I do feel like that this one has the most even application of the three with a brush. But then you've got all that glitter too that you're dealing with, so it's whether you like glitter or not. And then with this one, we have the very creamy ones. This one definitely, in my opinion, needs to be applied with a finger. It does not apply well with a brush at all. I've tried multiple brushes with this and I just don't feel like I get enough pigmentation from my personal likes. If you like a more subtle highlight, you may like it with a brush, but I don't know. You still get that shine, but it's just not, the color doesn't come through. It's just more of a just random shine when you use a brush with it. So what I'll do is I'll apply it with my fingertips and then I'll spread it out with like a buffing brush, like a contour brush, something like that. Something with more bristles. So not a stippling brush with less bristles, but something with more bristles, like a angled contour brush. Let me just show you one. This is from IT Cosmetics. This is the Chic blush brush that comes in their Chic set that's coming out for the holidays. I'm not sure if it's quite out yet. I got it at Generation Beauty, but this is kind of the density that I go for when I'm applying the Laura Mercier highlights to my cheeks. But like I said, a lot of times I'll just use my finger first and then blend it out with this. All right, so let's talk about value for a minute. So the Stila one is $39. You get 0.5 ounces. That comes out to $13 per pan and $78 per ounce. Of course, you don't get a full ounce of product. You only get half an ounce of product in here. So the dollars per ounce is just for comparison purposes when we're talking about value of all three of these palettes. But we're talking $13 per pan of product here. So for the Urban Decay Naked Illuminated Trio, $36, you get about half as much product as you get in the Stila. It comes out to $12 per pan and $150 per ounce. And the reason why it came out to less is because it's less expensive than this one overall. So this one is the least expensive of the palettes that I'm showing you today. This one's in the middle as far as how much they actually cost. But if you think about dollars per ounce, this one is about twice as good of a value with $78 per ounce versus $150 per ounce. Now, the by far least amount of value is the Laura Mercier. The Laura Mercier is $58. You only get 0.11 ounces of product. That is a little less than a fifth of the amount of product that you get in the Stila, and it's about a little less than half of the Urban Decay. So you definitely get the least amount of product in this one. It comes out because there's 4 pans to $14.50 per pan and $527 per ounce of product. It is by far the most expensive and by far the least amount of product you get in here. So as far as best value, the award goes to the Stila. And then for cheapest dollars per pan, we're going with the Naked Illuminated Trio. Overall worst value to the Laura Mercier. Before we get into the ingredients, let me just preface this by saying that I am not a chemist. Sometimes I mispronounce names. It happens. All of my sources will be linked down in the description below. The big source that I use is EWG.org, Environmental Working Group. They research a lot of ingredients. They put all of the studies together in a very convenient place. So we can look up and see, or I can look up and see what's bad and what's not bad in different products. So that'll all be linked down in the description. So let's talk about the Stila. Now, thankfully for Stila, there's only one ingredient that causes any kind of irritation, has any kind of red flags on EWG, and that's dimethicone. Dimethicone is one of those things that you either love it or you don't love it. Most people that don't love it have acne-prone skin. It is a silicone-based product, and basically what it does is it gives it that slip. If you feel these, they feel very, very smooth. When you touch it, you go, ooh, because it's so smooth. But then if you you don't want your pores clogged, you may not want to get this product. But thankfully, there isn't a single other ingredient in this that has any kind of problem on EWG. Everything else looks fantastic. Moving on to Urban Decay. Okay, the Urban Decay one, let's see. So the number one ingredient in the Urban Decay one is talc. So if you know that you are allergic to talc, sensitive to talc, of course you do not want to purchase this. There's also a contamination concern for talc. When I say a contamination concern, basically that just means that some batches of talc somewhere found in some product were contaminated with some kind of really bad thing. So does it mean that this particular talc has anything bad in it? Absolutely not. But just be aware that some talc somewhere had a problem. So and it's considered a high concern from Environmental Working Group. And that kind of contamination concern gives it a 3 rating, where 1 is not bad at all, there's no harm in it, to 10 being really, 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 really bad. What talc had been contaminated with in the past was asbestos fibers, which is, you know, if you know anything about asbestos, you know that that's not good. Also, of course, talc can be an allergen. The next one is benzyl alcohol, which we've talked about before. It's a naturally occurring synthetic ingredient used as a solvent and a preservative. It's been associated with contact allergy, especially with people working in factories that use this a lot. They're allowed, the workplace exposures are restricted for the European Union. So it's really people that are using this and touching this in a large quantity for long periods of time. They're not allowed to handle it. So that's totally up to you whether you think that that's a problem or not. The last one is sorbic acid. It's a naturally occurring synthetic produced compound used as a preservative. It is an allergen. So strong evidence found by the Cosmetic Ingredient Review, and they're based in Washington, D.C. So another allergen in here. So if you have sensitive skin, you may not want to get this one. It has a lot of things in here that could be bad. Not a lot of things, but a couple of things in here that could be bad for people with sensitive skin. So just be aware of that. And then finally, we have the Laura Mercier. So when we look at this, all right, so mostly really good stuff in here. Nothing bad except for one ingredient. It's called polysorbate 80, and it's listed as a 3 for Environmental Working Group. It's a surfactant, okay? So what I think the polysorbate 80 is being used for in this is the shine and the shimmer that you're seeing in this. It can also be used for thickening systems, reducing irritation in the skin, and improving the stability of the formula. Where they have an issue with this is that there's different grades of polysorbate 80 that can be purchased. The lower grade is more likely to be contaminated with really, really bad things. So there's a food grade and a non-food grade. So depending on what polysorbate 80 they used for this, that is what would make it be bad or not bad. Also, I read somewhere that's not as reliable of a source, meaning that I don't know much about the website, that it can be an allergen for some people, but definitely not for everybody, just for some people. So really, there's no way to know whether this is going to be bad for you or not, because it really just is going to depend on what Laura Mercier chose to do as far as buying a higher quality polysorbate 80 or a lower quality. But that's what you're kind of having to decide when you choose to purchase this or not. All right, so now getting into my personal review, my personal feelings about these palettes. If I had to pick one, I would probably, it's kind of a tie between the Stila and the Laura Mercier. Let me talk about why I don't like this one. I don't like the Urban Decay Naked Illuminating Trio. It does not last a very long time. I do actually really like the brush, but it doesn't last a very long time, and there's so much glitter in here. It's just not to my personal taste. So much glitter. If you like a lot of glitter and you don't care if that glitter transfers to other places on your face rather than where you put it, you may enjoy this, but lasting power is not fantastic for the actual color. The glitter will stay, but the tone of the shade will fade away relatively quickly within a few hours. So this one is actually going to go back to the store. I'm not going to keep this. I am not enjoying it at all. These two, I don't know. I'm thinking I'm going to keep the Stila, and I'm thinking I'm going to return the Laura Mercier, because I was expecting, let's go to the Laura Mercier next. I was expecting the Laura Mercier to blow me away. It's $58. That's a lot of money. I really cannot justify keeping this for $58. The lasting power is actually pretty good on it. It'll last me a good 6 hours or so with the highlight on, but there isn't enough variation in the shades when I put them on my cheeks. They look beautiful in swatches, but then when you actually apply them to the cheeks, there really isn't a whole lot of difference. They're beautiful as far as eyeshadows. I've been really enjoying them as eyeshadows, but I don't think I love them enough for $58. That's a lot of money. So I think this one's gonna be going back to the store as well, and I feel bad about it because I don't enjoy returning products. Every product I buy with the intention of keeping it, but I can't justify a $58 price tag. So I'm assuming with their 0.11 ounces and $58 price tag, they're making enough money to be able to cover the cost of my return. I do feel bad for Sephora that they have to eat my return, but they do have the return policy on their own choice. They have the ability to revoke the return policy if they choose to. If they didn't feel like they could afford the return policy, I'm sure that they would not do it. I'm sure they see it as a good business move to allow returns. That's why I choose to return. We are so off topic. Let's go back to the Stila. The Stila one I think is the one that I'm going to keep. I do love the way that it feels. It feels very nice. I don't have acne prone skin. I feel like the lasting power on the Stila is my favorite. I feel like the tone, you can tell the tone difference on the skin, and I've been really enjoying this one. Is it my favorite highlighter palette? Absolutely not. Honestly, if I were gonna pick a highlighter palette to buy, I would probably buy an Anastasia highlighter palette, to be honest, if you want a really poppy one, or I have the original Hourglass 3-pan highlighter palette if you don't want a really poppy one. I would recommend those. To be honest, I really wouldn't recommend any of these unless you want something that specifically was released for the holidays, and I would say, my personal opinion, the Stila is my favorite, but honestly, none of them are that great. And I hate to say that, like, I don't want to be negative, but they're not great. They're not fabulous. I wish I gotten the Bobbi Brown one now. Now I'm kicking myself not getting the Bobbi Brown. I wish I had not gotten this one because when I swatched it, I had a feeling, I was like, you know, maybe I'll like it. And I was like, and it'll be different for a review, you know, that'll be for a different, I don't know. It was impulse buying, okay? And I just made a bad choice. I think that's what it comes down to. So I want to thank you so much for watching this video. If you enjoyed it, definitely make sure you share it with a friend who you think will also enjoy it. Hit that thumbs up button and subscribe for more review videos. Thanks again for watching. Mad love, and I'll see you soon. Bye!